All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order with a roll call from our city clerk, Kathy Valdez.
The record shall reflect that all members are present.
And Councilmember O'Donnell is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
Hand over your heart, and you may begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our city clerk, Kathy Valdez, has a procedural statement.
Thank you, Mayor. In accordance with the Brown Act, I'd like to announce that as a result of convening simultaneous meetings, the members of the Buena Sanitation District will receive compensation of $147.75 for the district meeting pursuant to Buena Sanitation District Ordinance 2006-1. I would like to remind everyone that the Vista Municipal Code requires members of the public to observe order and decorum at the meeting and to conduct themselves in a courteous manner. The ordinance was adopted to allow for public input and to facilitate city business without disruption of the meeting. Applause is appropriate for items listed under the presentation portion of the agenda only. Students wishing to receive credit for attending this evening's meeting must stay for a minimum of 1 hour. However, we ask that you stay for the completion of an item rather than leaving in the middle of a discussion. When you're ready to leave, you may ask one of the staff members in the back of the room to sign your paper. Thank you.
Thank you. To speak on an item on tonight's agenda, please fill out a speaker slip with the number of the item you'd like to speak on and give it to the clerk secretary staff here at the dais. Speaker slips are available on the table just outside of the council chambers. For members of the public participating via Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature to indicate you'd like to speak or press *9 on your phone. We will announce when to raise your hand or to indicate that you'd like to speak or make a comment on the specific item being discussed. Speakers will each have 3 minutes to address the council this evening. Now we'll go to our city manager, John Connolly, for approval of the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. We'd like to swap the presentations P2 and P3 order of them so that we can give CEA an opportunity to make a slideshow presentation to the council, if that's all right.
Absolutely. We'll switch items 2 and 3. Okay, and with that, we do have 3 presentations this evening, so I'd like to invite my fellow city council members to join me at the lectern for presentations. All right. Our first presentation is a proclamation declaring April 2024 as Earth Month in the city of Vista. They no longer get just the day. Earth gets an entire month. Nancy, as it should, Nancy Jones, or Farmer Jones, as many of you may know her, with the Alta Vista Botanical Gardens, will be accepting the proclamation. There you are. Good to see you. Here, I'll give you this and let you come around and say hello to the council here. Yes. Our proclamation reads, whereas 2024 marks the 54th anniversary of the Earth Day movement and serves as an opportunity for individuals and communities to respect our natural resources through conservation and protection, and whereas Earth Day each year marks a renewed commitment to the environmental stewardship and implementation of sustainability efforts, whereas the City of Vista celebrates Earth Day by extending it to the month of April in recognition of the commitment to environmental stewardship, whereas the theme of Earth Day 2024 is Plastics versus Planet, and the City of Vista has enacted a polystyrene ban to reduce styrofoam waste throughout the city and has conducted outreach to food service providers to minimize plastic waste, whereas the City of Vista has enacted a new environmental commission to bring the community's voices together to focus on environmental issues that our residents and businesses care about most, whereas the City of Vista understands the urgency of climate change and addresses it through the implementation of the 2021 Climate Action Plan, encouraging sustainable transportation practices to its employees, planting trees in our parks and along our traffic corridors, having a community improvement team that helps keep our environment clear of litter, and encourages our residents and businesses to apply energy and water conservation practices to their everyday lives. And whereas the City of Vista, with the leadership of the Vista City Council, promises to continue to strive for a healthier and safer future for all through improvement of our environment, protecting our natural resources, and the practice of sustainability. Now, therefore, the mayor and the members of the Vista City Council hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Earth Month in the City of Vista. All right. Absolutely, please. And here to say a word to us is Farmer Jones, our own Nancy Jones. You want to come around this side and talk into the microphone?
I would, well, you know, it's
Or you
movable.
want to stay on this side? Up to you.
Well, since y'all are here, I try not to put my back to those important people. Is that yours? No, that's, okay, sorry, I'll figure this out. Okay, my day started with, you have to understand, Miss Rusty and, Miss Rusty and I were at County Board of Supervisors. And the County Board of Supervisors this morning named April 2024 as Earth Month in the County of San Diego. So you guys, you all, are backing us up. So I gave a little speech there, not too little. Rewrote it a little bit for y'all. Good evening to our mayor and our Vista City Council members. I'm pleased to work with you all in the community. I see these folks all the time. Thank you for honoring Alta Vista Botanical Gardens with this proclamation for Earth Month. Attending tonight are a couple ladies from the Women's Club of Vista, and I've been in there for 15 years and was president for 4 years. And the Women's Club of Vista has supported the gardens for so many years, and we are lifetime members. So that's the we that is the Women's Club of Vista. Yes. Okay, so we have a couple ladies there, and Miss Rusty Dixon is our, Mrs. Rusty Dixon is, is our garden manager of the gardens. She may get paid for 20 hours, but you know she works at least double that. She has her heart in the gardens, and I've known her kids since they were yay. Do I have a light? I've known her kids for at least 10 years. She says 13 years. So I am representing our board and our dedicated volunteers. Our all-volunteer board meets monthly to carry on the business of running our 14-acre gardens on City of Vista property. We have 30 adopted gardeners that keep the gardens looking so good. Of course, the rain helps, and we do try to stay ahead of the weeds. The gardens were started in 1999. They wanted to have a big old crystal palace with an indoor canopy. That was a little bit grandiose for Vista. So we visited other botanical gardens, and we now have a Vista-sized garden. So we've been working ever since to make this garden a place of respite, refuge, and relief from your daily cares, especially during COVID. So I started the Fall Fun Festival in 2009 with the Kids in the Garden class. So in 15 years, 11,000 people have attended and volunteered at our 2 festivals, just the kids festivals. But I've worked with another 8,000 kids at the monthly Kids in the Garden classes and school field trips to learn about nature and the environment, gaining respect for the outdoors. So our 15th Earth Day Festival, I don't know if it's in the proclamation, is coming up on April 20th. Children's activities are plant sale, Amigos de Vista. Lions will provide the barbecue lunch for sale. Music from Vic Moraga, our good friend, and 36 vendors. The event is free and the community loves it. Now, we do have adult programs. Somebody was there. We had our meeting, MEADING, at the garden on Saturday. We probably had 1,200 people there. They were really happy. Mead, as in the Viking mead. It turned out really well. Did you enjoy it, Miss Katie? Were you there, Karina? No? Yes? I didn't say hi. Okay, so we also have those adult events, and we have a November Fest. Now, Miss Rusty, would you like to talk about? She's busy, okay. She's videoing. We are anticipating and planning our 25th anniversary gala on September 7th. Put it on your calendars, please. You're welcome to join us. We have 900 member families, not just 900 people, but 900 member families supporting us in our gardens. So thank you for honoring Alta Vista Botanical Gardens. We love
We can bring the whole crew with you, too.
whole crew. Come on, whole crew.
Okay, next, we have a proclamation to declare April 10th, 2024 as Clean Energy Alliance Day in the city of Vista. The CEO of the Clean Energy Alliance, Greg Wade.
So they can present for us. So we're going to number 3.
That's what I'm, oh, they already switched my notes to put 3 ahead of 2. I was switching, but they, okay. Excuse me.
And you want to be my mayor.
That's my mayor.
Let's go. I thought I was switching, so we'll go back to the fair. Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll present a proclamation declaring June 12th, 2024 as San Diego County Fair Day in the city of Vista. Representing the fair, we have Melinda Carmichael, Chief Administrative Officer of the 22nd District Agricultural Association, and Luis Valdivia, Marketing Specialist for the 22nd District Agricultural Association, and Lori Sutherland from Tasty Chips, a popular longtime food vendor. And she brought Tasty Chips for everyone tonight. Okay, not really. Under your chair, you get Tasty Chips. No, not tonight? All right, very good. We have a proclamation we want to present you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, sir.
Fix this up so it doesn't go flying out here. All right, there we go. Present you with this. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here tonight. Nice to meet you. All right, it's good to see you. And we got to read our proclamation, and then the floor is yours. Okay, so here's our proclamation. Whereas the San Diego County Fair, produced by the 22nd District Agricultural Association, is the region's biggest celebration held annually at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. While it is hosted annually at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, it serves the entire county, including the beautiful city of Vista. And whereas the San Diego County Fair first began in 1880 and has evolved and changed names and locations over the years, the San Diego County Fair has continued to serve as a gathering place in San Diego County to have fun, dine together, listen to music, enjoy rides, games, see live entertainment, and learn about agriculture in the world around them. Whereas the San Diego County Fair provides opportunities for Vista small businesses, farmers, landscapers, gardeners, artists, crafters, woodworkers, I'm a woodworker, photographers, collectors, and others to showcase their wares and talents. The fair helps promote San Diego and surrounding communities and brings area businesses, families, neighbors, and diverse communities closer together in a festive atmosphere. And whereas the San Diego County Fair forms key partnerships with the City of Vista, and the city participates in the fair's annual Community Street Banner program, while nonprofits, schools, sponsors, and youth development organizations make the annual festivities more equitable, more educational, and more exciting for young people. And whereas Vista residents participate as exhibitors, performers, concessionaires, vendors, and Vista schools showcase their talents through various programs such as the Students Showcase, Best of K through 6, the Junior Livestock Show, Plant, Grow, Eat, Fair for All, Kids Day, and the Care and Share Toy Drive. And whereas Vista residents can easily attend and visit the fair thanks to the Fair Tripper ticket, which is a combination of fair admission and North County Transit District transportation. And whereas the 2024 San Diego County Fair's theme is Let's Go Retro, a theme focused on the era of 1950s through the 1990s, a period that saw Vista and other San Diego County communities grow from a sparsely populated rural town to a vibrant community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I and the members of the Vista City Council do hereby proclaim Wednesday, June 12, 2024, as the San Diego County Fair Day in the city of Vista, and recognize the San Diego County Fair's long-standing significance to our diverse communities and the city of Vista's connection to this cherished tradition. How about that? That's good stuff.
Thank you, Mayor Franklin and City Council members. We are very honored and thankful to receive this proclamation. And as you know, we're working hard behind the scenes to present the 2024 San Diego County Fair. As the mayor mentioned, it will be a Let's Go Retro theme, and our fair dates run from June 12th through July 7th this year, so through the weekend of July 4th. And with that, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize many of the residents in Vista participate in our exhibits program every year. And so that, as you know, is the heart of our program. And along with that, he stole all my thunder. We are partnering this year for the first year with the City of Vista on our banner program, which is a wonderful program. We'll be providing 40 banners that will display 30 of your community members on them. And they'll be posted throughout the city, and at the end of the fair, those community members can take them home. So very cool program. Also, we like to celebrate our small businesses and provide opportunities. So joining us today is Lori Sutherland, who's the owner of Tasty Chips. Thank you, Lori.
We've just celebrated 50 years.
Yes. And if I didn't mention, she's a resident of Vista. And now I'm really hungry, because that sounds really good.
I'll work on heating up those cookies.
Awesome. So really, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, City, Council members. We appreciate this. We're very grateful, and we hope to see you out at the fair.
Thank you very much. Picture, yes. Yeah, let's have a picture.
Right up front.
Okay, now we're on to our final proclamation to declare April 10th, 2024 as the Clean Energy Alliance Day in the City of Vista. And at this time, we'll have CEO Greg Wade come forward and our CEA Key Accounts Program Manager, Kaylin McGee. Please come on down and accept this proclamation. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being with us tonight. Okay. I'm going to read this and I'm going to turn it over to you. Okay, whereas the Clean Energy Alliance was established in November of 2019 with the aim of providing clean and sustainable energy options to communities operating independently with local control and support from ratepayers ensuring financial autonomy and no taxpayer subsidies. Whereas CEA empowers member agencies to leverage collective energy demands, increasing purchasing power for higher renewable energy content and reinvestment in local energy infrastructure and efficiency programs. Whereas CEA commenced energy services on May 1st, 2021, offering residents cleaner energy, more competitive rates, and local programs, thereby aiding member communities in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and advancing climate action plan goals. Whereas CEA fosters local control, transparency, clean power, reduced emissions, local jobs, and quality service. Whereas the City of Vista proudly joins CEA, recognizing it as a transformative option in power provision, offering clean power solutions to residents and businesses. Whereas CEA officially commenced operations in Vista on April 1, 2024, promising sustainable energy solutions and local empowerment. Whereas CEA enables Vista and partner cities to procure electricity from alternative suppliers while utilizing existing transmission and distribution lines, granting local governance over electricity sources and the opportunity to choose greener power options. Whereas CEA operates under the California state law, allowing local governments to establish community choice energy programs, thus empowering communities to manage their electric power supply. Now, therefore, the mayor and the members of the Vista City Council hereby recognize the invaluable contributions of the Clean Energy Alliance to the advancement of clean energy, environmental sustainability, and community prosperity, and hereby proclaim April 10th, 2024 as Clean Energy Alliance Day in the City of Vista. And I think, is it Caitlin also gets to bring that giant switch down here? Yeah, bring that down. Yeah. Yeah, we'll let you say a few words, Greg, after. You want to do that after? Oh, you have a presentation, gotcha. Okay, so we'll do a picture. That'll work. Of course.
Come on, we'll spread it.
Absolutely. All right. Floor is yours, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mayor Franklin, Deputy Mayor Melendez, and members of the Vista City Council. It's an honor to be here, and I will start by saying that most of what you're about to see is in this proclamation the mayor just read, so I appreciate the thoroughness. It's good to be here. So just moving on, and I appreciate the recognition. So this is just an overview for the community, for those in attendance, as well as this council, to refresh people's memory about what CCAs are and what we're here to do. CCAs, community choice aggregations, are the aggregation of energy load at the local level. So this was formed in 2002, Assembly Bill 117 created community choice aggregation law, and it allows local agencies like counties and cities to aggregate their energy load on behalf of their customers to sell that energy back to the community. The law requires that 4 notices be sent out. So this is the month that we're launching in the cities of Vista and Oceanside. Prior to this launch, we sent out notices in February and March to alert customers of this transition. And we also send out notices 30 days after launch and 60 days after launch. These notices are required under state law, and they alert people to this change in their default energy provider. There are now 25 CCAs in the state of California. It's quite a popular option for communities to get their energy. They currently serve over 14 million customers in the state, and over 200 cities are represented by community choice aggregation programs. In 2019, this agency, Clean Energy Alliance, started with the cities of Carlsbad, Del Mar, and Solana Beach. And in 2021, we brought in Escondido and San Marcos. And of course, right now, we are launching, having this city council in Oceanside in 2022 elected to be part of it. We are launching this month. That brings a total of 7 cities in the North County area. So how it works is SDG&E, our investor-owned utility, will remain our delivery and transmission and distribution. They'll be responsible for delivering energy. What CEA does is we procure energy, primarily a higher renewable content energy, on behalf of the customers, and then SDG&E delivers that energy to the customers over their infrastructure, their overhead utilities, or in some cases, underground utilities. And then the customer enjoys the benefit of that energy at their homes and businesses. There are a variety of reasons why CCAs exist, and this council considered a lot of those when it took the choice to be enrolled with CEA. To meet climate action plan goals, as you know, that there are some ambitious climate action plan goals that call for higher renewable energy and getting to 100% renewable energy in the state by 2045. CEA has a more ambitious goal to get to 100% renewable energy by 2035, as most of the climate action plans in the county of San Diego also require. There are a variety of energy projects, so we provide cleaner energy to the customers. There's a minimum of 50% of the energy we procure and provide to the customers is renewable. We also have a default product of 75% carbon-free energy. That's the product at which all customers are currently enrolled for, or will be enrolled for the City of Vista and for all member agencies. And then there's an option for customers to opt up to 100% if they so choose, if they want to be environmental stewards, as it were, to be environmentally conscious and up the ante, so to speak. And I would like to recognize this city council, by the way, for opting up its municipal accounts to 100% renewable energy. That's a laudable step, and it's something that we're hopeful other cities will take the cue and do the same. The other reason is to provide customers with choice, so that not only do you get the choice of a new energy provider as opposed to the IOU, SDG&E, but you also get 3 choices within that, within CEA, as I mentioned, and I'll get into those 3 choices. Local control, the city councils provide a member to our board of directors. Deputy Mayor is our vice chair on that board, the Clean Energy Alliance board. And so customers get a closer local opportunity to be engaged with their board in rate setting and other benefit programs that CEA provides to our customers. And then, of course, we're a nonprofit agency. There are no shareholders we have to respond to. We respond to, by extension, the community, the customers, the citizens, the businesses, through your city council member who sits on our board. So those are some of the very important reasons why the City of Vista and other agencies have joined CEA. Right now, the Vista participation with these notices, customers are given the opportunity to do one of 3 things. One is to stay enrolled in the 75% carbon-free, to opt down to the 50% renewable, or to opt up to the 100% renewable, or to opt out and stay with SDG&E for both generation, the power, as well as the delivery services. Right now, we have approximately 1% of the customers in Vista have opted up to Green Impact, or been upgraded to Green Impact. That's the 100% renewable option. 2% have opted out of CEA, and that's a customer base of about 85% residential and 9% commercial. And then we have approximately 32% of our customers in Vista that are on low-income programs known as CARE or FARA, CARE being the single occupant and FARA being family, and 3% are on a medical baseline plan. We've been actively engaged in the community in addition to the notices we send to the public, our staff, and Caitlin McGee, who you just met, is one of those staff people who've been out in the community. Here's a list of some of the things we've been doing in the Vista area. We've been participating in your farmers market. We've been out with Realtors Group. We've been engaged with the Chamber of Commerce. Caitlin and I were there last week to give a presentation to the Government Advisory Board. And so those are some of the many things we're doing to get the word out and to provide guidance and answer questions and provide additional information to customers. We also have a couple of town halls that will be coming up for the City of Vista in the next month and 2 months, actually. And these, again, are some of the outreach efforts that are still going on, have gone on, and we are very excited to be able to not only engage with the community, but become a part of this community as your energy service provider. There are programs, that's a great benefit of community choice programs, or community choice energy programs, is that we offer local benefits. So the revenue we generate with the energy sales, we put into the communities. And these are some of the programs that we've already become engaged with. Net energy metering, that's our solar customer programs. We have not only do we provide the same, so for net energy metering customers, the good news is nothing will change about your grandfather status if you're familiar with net energy metering. So that will stay the same. What we do provide is an adder benefit on our credit for energy that you generate. And then if you're a surplus generator, we provide a premium of 6 cents per kilowatt hour for reimbursement to that customer. So that's a benefit with our net energy metering program. We're partnering with Ohm Connect. They're a demand response company where you can engage in energy saving options at your home, whether it be a smart meter or other devices that you can help save energy with and be awarded incentives for being a part of that program. Green Impact Champions, that's where we recognize businesses and residents who opt up to 100% green energy. And although the City of Vista is not a business, you are a Green Impact Champion by opting up to 100%. Solar Plus is a program we just launched, and it's a way to get solar and battery projects and facilities to single-family homes with no upfront cost to the customer. This is a way to provide higher access to solar facilities for those who might not ordinarily be able to afford them with the initial cash outlay. This is a program that provides a solar array for those homes and a battery from Tesla, and that will set a fixed rate for your energy cost, and will also give you access to the battery, which you pay for on a monthly basis. That you can use if, for example, there's a power outage or you want to use that on a high energy demand day to save further energy cost. And then we just launched a local solar program, which is a community-based microgrid program where we're looking for property owners and energy developers to come to us with anywhere from a 500,000 kilowatt to a 1 megawatt installation. And you get an incentive if you're providing battery storage. And so that just hit the streets this week, and we're hopeful that we'll have some developers come to us and take advantage of that program so we can have distributed energy, locally distributed and provided to customers in CEA's territory. I mentioned this program already. I'll just briefly go through it again. This is our net energy metering program. We have 2 rates. One is if you're enrolling prior to April 15th, 2023, that again, you maintain your status at whatever net energy metering status you have, you will continue to maintain with CEA. The next is our solar impact plan, which is if you enrolled after April of 2023. And that is for net energy metering 3.0, as it's known. And so, again, I mentioned the benefits of that program. I won't repeat them here, but we do offer a premium for surplus generation, and we offer an adder for credits during the month. That is all I have to present at this point. Again, I do want to thank the council for having me to present to you and for recognition with the proclamation. Here's the information. If anyone has any questions, they can call our customer service line. It's up there on the screen, or they can check into us at thecleanenergyalliance.org. By the way, that's a long name. We, like many jurisdictions, are going to be moving to a .gov domain name hopefully soon, and so we hope to shorten that. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I think we might have a few questions. I see Councilmember Green wanted to ask a question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Big question that I have is in switching from SDG&E to the Clean Energy Alliance, do you guys have the same on-peak and off-peak pricing timeframes? And from a pricing standpoint, is it more affordable in the on-peak and off-peak? I know as a solar producer, we get less credit and things like that during those times. And just kind of reiterate, is it the same exact system, or is it a different hours, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's virtually the same. It's,
Okay.
it's a time of use rate. So we have on our website, you have the rates of SDG&E as compared to what we call them. But basically, time of use rate, same time frames. Basically, the super peak time is 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So it's all the same time. Most of our customers are enrolled in the time of use DR1 rate. That's I'd say over 90% of our residential customers are in that rate. So yes, it does matter when you use electricity because you are charged a higher rate at those super peak times and peak times. As far as what the energy cost is, I will say that since its inception, CEA has saved, through December of 2023, CEA saved an average residential customer $6.16 per month.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you this, though, that at the end of December of 2023, SDG&E dramatically lowered its rates both on generation, which is what we do, as well as on their delivery charges. So right now, there's a slight premium for the default energy product of about $3 per month. However, I will also caution you that SDG&E raised its rates slightly in March and typically does have a rate adjustment a couple of times per year. One of the things that CEA champions is rate stability. So we have not raised our rates since February of last year. We are going to be looking at the budget in the next 2 months here and making a decision as to how we adjust our rates. But right now, I will be honest that the default product is you're paying about $2 to $3 per month for the city of Vista on the default product, more on your generation side. One last caveat is that when you look at your bill on average, the generation side of your bill is about 25% of your total bill, 75% of which is the SDG&E delivery charges. Those we have no control over. SDG&E will continue to charge those and adjust them as they feel necessary. It's the 25% part that we're responsible for.
Fantastic. And I know that as a community, we're really excited to have this particular, project ahead of us and have you at the helm kind of as our watchdog, because we've really never been able to peel back the curtain, with SDG&E and see how they're charging and how we can ensure rate stability and how we can actually get these profits back into the hands of our consumers and our residents. So really appreciate you being here and giving us this information. Look forward to the change. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
Thank you. You already answered one question on what your highest cost is, and that sounds not like generation, but actually transfer of that energy into the homes through the SDG&E. So my understanding is it's going to be slightly, from what you said, but also just things that I've read, that it's going to be slightly more expensive than SDG&E. When do you anticipate that would balance out to where this is a more favorable program?
It's really difficult to say. The energy market right now is it's a very challenging time. But what I will say is what is driving the cost of renewable energy is what is essentially a backlog of renewable energy projects up at the state level. So California Independent System Operator, CAISO as it's known, is responsible for the grid throughout the state of California. Not only do they take the energy that all of us provide and feed it into the grid, they schedule it into the grid, but they're also responsible for approving interconnection of utility scale renewable energy projects. And because of the demand on renewable energy, we've had just a whole bunch of applications being made at the state level. We've got a lot of projects ready to go if they can get through that process. We expect that to have some relief, if you will, within the next 1 to 2 years, where those projects will come online, they'll get in the ground, and we'll see a different climate of renewable energy in terms of cost. That should dramatically reduce the cost. I can't sit here and guarantee you that our rates will be cheaper than our generation rates than SDG&E in a year. We will always be rate competitive. And so at this point, we're looking at through the end of this year to see how things play out. And again, our objective right now is to provide the environmental benefits, the local benefits, the community enhancement programs, whether it be a solar installation for a resident or other programs that we can bring to your communities, and while being rate competitive. So I don't have a crystal ball. If the energy world is a difficult place to maneuver in, but that's my best answer.
No, and I appreciate that answer. And something that you said really struck a positive note with me, and that is rate stability. If anybody's looked at their energy prices over the last 10 years, they know that it's doubled, if not more, in that time frame. So I really appreciate you saying that. You and I talked a little bit in the hallway, and you had mentioned it here, but the battery program. So you had said that it's not no cost, but they could pay monthly. So would that be a loan, or is that just a rental fee, or is there different programs for different batteries for solar users, or how does that kind of work?
Right now, excuse me, the program we're talking about is a adjunct to our Solar Plus program. So we recognize there are a lot of people out there who are solar customers that don't have a battery. And so right away, we intend to expand the program to include a battery-only option. At this point, it would be a rental of the battery for your use. However, the program we have right now, there is a buyback program where over time you can buy the battery or the entire system back. So we haven't developed fully how that will work with the battery only, but right now the program we do have gives you an option to buy the system. So we envision that would be the same for the battery. Right now with the Solar Plus program, the battery, we charge for the one battery $115 per month. And again, as I said, with that program, you can buy the entire system after, I believe it's 10 years.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate that, and I really do look forward to working with you on this. I know there's a lot of things that will happen moving forward, but I think overall it's going to be a very good thing for Vista, and just in general for California, based on the energy rates we have. So I just want to say thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your presentation. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Melendez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Wade, for being here. I've had the opportunity to work with you quite a bit now. I get to serve as vice chair on the CEA Board of Directors, and I really appreciate you explaining the government structure of CEA. We are not an investor-owned utility. There's much more opportunity for the public to be involved in the decision-making. And each of the cities that are a member of CEA has a board representative. In the city of Vista, that's myself, and I get to serve as vice chair. But if someone does want to attend the board meetings, could you tell us when those are, and maybe also speak a little bit about community advisory groups and how the public can get more involved?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. So we meet once a month, or the CEA board. It's the last Thursday, the fourth Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. at the Oceanside City Council chambers in the city of Oceanside. And we also have a community advisory committee, which is made up of 2 members of the community from each member agency, so a total of 14 members. And they meet the second Thursday of every month at 1 p.m. So we have a meeting this Thursday, also at the Oceanside Council chambers. It's a great way for members of the community who are interested in this sort of thing or giving back to become involved. We have some of our community advisory committee members volunteering for some of the outreach effort items that I showed in the presentation. So they're getting engaged with the community. And I think in this day and age, it's really helpful to have members of the community talking to other members of the community about the programs we offer. You may find it hard to believe, but sometimes there's a distrust of government, local government, or what have you. And so I think it's important to have members of the community to get involved and carry that message and provide information to their neighbors and fellow residents. So again, it's a great way to get involved. So I thank you for that question.
Councilmember Contreras.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wade. This is something that I am super excited that our city is embarking. First of all, is 100% renewable energy for our municipal account, right? I really want to thank my council members for allowing us to electrify everything with 100% renewable energy. So that's really exciting. But I wanted to back up to a slide in your presentation, the Vista participation slide. And I wanted to just ask something about the program. So I see that 32% are these households in Vista? 32% on low-income programs?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And so that's about a third of Vista households. As folks continue to pay their electricity bill, is there anything else that we could do to provide help to folks that are part of this 32%?
That's a great question. We actually are looking at ways we can do this in others, both the cities of Oceanside and Vista and all our member agencies. We have a partner that we've worked with on the Solar Plus program, and they're very interested in bringing to bear some of the state funding that's currently available to allow us to provide programs to our some of the lower income residents in our cities. So we're looking at programs. We're working with a local nonprofit actually to look at a community energy program, and their primary focus is trying to have it facilitate a benefit to our care customers. And so we're actively looking at those. We haven't brought it to the board yet, but we're actively looking at ways we can help support those customers. I will say that we've been actively involved in the what everybody may know as the income graduated fixed charge discussion that's going on at the California Public Utilities Commission. And so far, it looks like that will be a benefit to these care and FARA customers. So we're carefully monitoring that to make sure that the decision that comes out of the Public Utilities Committee, or Commission rather, is supportive of that as well. So we are looking at programs to specifically target that population.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so it sounds like, by doing what we've done before, which is just paying our electricity bill, now we're able to also look at utilizing some of that funding in the future to perhaps provide even more relief for folks here in Vista, which I think is incredibly, it's just critical as costs continue to rise just to live. The other thing I wanted to ask, for municipal customers, you talked about, on residential energy storage, battery. Is it the same for municipal customers, or is there something else?
Well, at this point, I don't believe our feed-in tariff program, the local solar program, is eligible to municipal accounts. I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't think it is. It's open to commercial and large residential projects. But we do have a variety of energy providers that are located or getting more active in the community, particularly with CEA expanding the way we are, to work with municipalities to look at energy efficiencies. And so we haven't started a program with that just yet, but we are working with other local agencies. And if something comes our way, we'll certainly take advantage of that and let you guys know.
Okay, yeah, I would say, the more that we can work closely on something like that, it's going to benefit us tremendously. Especially, we've had various conversations here at the council level about having more solar generated potentially on our parking lots, right? And we need to be able to store that, and it's not cheap right now. So anything that we could do to have those conversations and move the ball forward.
I will say that we have engaged quite early on with the school districts, because a lot of school districts are asking that same question. A lot of them already have deployed solar arrays in their parking areas. And so the addition of battery storage as well as additional solar is something we're looking at. So it would align with that pretty well.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
Yeah, so just really quick, because you had mentioned the fixed rate income charges. Thank you for working on that, because that is something that's been important to this council as well. Just really quick, and you may not have the answer to this, I don't know if it's your expertise, but NEM 3.0 I know is being challenged in court right now. Do you know any further updates on that or where it stands?
I really don't, but we do have a regulatory analyst as well as we contract with a regulatory attorney, and we have a very active lobby in the California CCA. And so that is something we're carefully monitoring because we're just as eager as you to see if that can be changed. But at this point, I don't have an update for you on that.
No worries. And then is the ultimate goal to have microgrids across Vista? So that way we can work across and try and lower the cost of transfer?
I appreciate the question. I think ultimately it's the goal to have microgrids throughout the service territory. I don't know if it's just Vista. We're looking at, they're not, for them to be very effective, we want them to be somewhat substantial. So it's going to be a combination of microgrids. It's going to be a combination of getting individuals, municipalities using renewable energy and storage. So storage is key. I think it's going to be a combination of all of those things, distributed energy, microgrids, as well as freeing up some of those projects I mentioned at the state level, those utility scale projects, some of which are hopefully going to be developed in the region. So it's a combination of all of that.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, a few more for you before you go. With regard to that monthly charge, I just want to make clear to everybody who's watching that the adoption of CCA in Vista did not have anything to do with the implementation of that monthly fee. That was done by the CPUC outside of this process and unrelated to it. And I think that's an important point because some people have observed these two things are happening at the same time. So I think it's important to know that they are two separate policy decisions and that this council did take a position opposing those new monthly fees, and we appreciate that. I hope the Alliance took the same position. Some other questions. I had actually reached out to you, and the reason I was reaching out was about the notices that were provided. Thank you to your staff for coming today to answer some questions. They brought with them a copy of the postcard that was sent out. Did I understand you to say that there would be a total of 4 notifications?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, that's good to know. I also, as a solar customer myself, a lot of solar customers who seem to be very interested in this change, probably because they've made a tremendous investment in their home to generate electricity, noted that they had not received their postcard, and your staff pointed out that you're going to be providing those notices to those customers at the time of their annual true-up. So I wanted to get that information out. Is that right?
I greatly appreciate that question, Mayor, and I'm sorry I didn't bring it up with the presentation on net energy metering. That is absolutely correct. I too am a solar customer in a different CCA, and the notices come out during your annual true-up. Mine's in November, and so it didn't align with the rest of the notices. So we do get that question. I'm really happy you brought that up. If you are a solar customer, look at what your true-up date is, and you'll get your notices 60 days in advance of your true-up, 30 days in advance of your true-up, and then 2 more after that, 30 and 60 beyond the actual launch date.
Excellent. And you talked about the fact that, and I would say when we voted to adopt the Clean Energy Alliance, to join it, I think this was it, the 75% rate was still more than SDG&E, or was it just less? Anyway, I know the 50% rate, the 50% renewable energy rate was less. And it still is, right?
At this point, it's close to what's called parity with SDG&E's generation rate, but it is still slightly more based on the rate reduction.
And if customers are price sensitive and they want to achieve the best price while they're staying with a Clean Energy Alliance rather than opting out, if they wanted to change from 75% to 50% to get the best rate savings, would they contact the Clean Energy Alliance or SDG&E to make that change?
They would contact CEA, us, Clean Energy Alliance, at that number I showed you, or they can go on the website and take care of it from there to opt down to the 50% renewable.
So customers are able to establish an account and log in?
You don't even need an account excuse me, you just go to the website and there's a, I think at the top of the website, it says opt up now. And if you go down to the middle of the main page, there's an opt button you can push. But if that
Sends
is
you a web form.
intimidating, this number here, you can call and say, I would like to opt down to 50%, and they'll take care of it for you.
That's good to know. I was curious about your battery program. So if I lease the battery, then I'm drawing off my own battery in the peak demand time. Is that right?
You can actually, it'll come with an app with some instruction on how to use it. You can program it. So it's really up to the customer to use it if they want to use it during peak demand to decrease your energy usage and your costs. It's really up to the customer as to how to deploy that. But there are some basic programs that come with the battery that can tell you how to optimize its use.
That is interesting. I'm interested in learning more about that. Also, have already had somebody who is a property owner in Vista reach out with an inquiry about how they could build solar and sell it back to CEA. So, what's the best way to get more information on that? You mentioned that opportunity. Is there an RFP that's out, or?
There is an RFP that's out right now. Well, not an RFP, but it's a solicitation for our feed-in tariff program. So that is exactly that program. Again, on the website, we've got it up. The page is open, and it's looking for small microgrid facilities, just as you mentioned. So it's open to those who want to submit a proposal.
And who would they contact if that's the specific inquiry that they have?
So if you go to the website and you file an application, we will contact you.
Okay, very good. I'm almost done. What about excess revenues? If the Clean Energy Alliance collects more money than it costs to provide electric service, what happens to the excess revenues?
So the excess revenues are used for programs like the solar program. So we use that to facilitate the deployment of those facilities. What we would like to do in the future is potentially offer, again, to perhaps some lower income residents, the ability to defray some of that cost. So right now, it's just a no upfront cost option, the Solar Plus, for example. Using those excess revenues, when we're in a position to do so, we could supplement that program with subsidies for lower income residents. We use that money to provide other programs, including the local solar program. So if we want to partner with an energy provider and they have a piece of property to install that facility, we can partner with them in terms of whatever financial gap might exist to get that project in the ground. So there's a number of ways. Now, what I will say is that the JPA also gives the local jurisdiction the opportunity to decide how to allocate some of the funds that are generated. So at some point, we'll be addressing through your board member how you would like to prioritize the expenditure of those funds. So it does give each city the ability to expend the funds in a manner that they would like to see expended.
So the California Public Utilities Commission controls the setting of rates by investor-owned utilities. How are rates governed for a Clean Energy Alliance?
Yeah, so the PUC does not regulate the rate-setting process for Clean Energy Alliance. The Board of Directors sets the rates. Now, we have energy experts who have been doing this for quite a while that procure energy, and it's based on the cost to procure that energy and the cost to provide it to customers. So it's a calculation that we provide, and the board decides to set the rates. The initial rate-setting process is that we do typically index, meaning we look at what the IOU, SDG&E's generation rate is, and we try to become cost competitive with them. So that's where we start. Then we look at how much it costs to procure the energy and provide it to the customers to come up with a rate. So that's how we do it. Now, the PUC, while they don't have regulatory authority over rate setting, they do have regulatory oversight over our, and I don't want to get too wonky here, but our integrated resource management plan, our renewable portfolio standards, meaning how much renewable we're buying in our portfolio, and our resource adequacy. Think of that as excess energy that all load-serving entities have to buy for those peak demand days when you need to have the energy on hand. So we're required to have that. The PUC regulates that, and we're required to meet those obligations.
What limitations are there on setting prices to generate excess revenues?
Really, it's a matter of what the costs are. So at this point, there's not a cap other than our JPA mandate to be cost competitive with the IOU.
Okay. Customers are able to switch on an annual basis between Clean Energy Alliance and SDG&E, is that right?
So if a customer opts out during the opt-out period, they can go back to SDG&E without any impact. If they would like to come to, and they've never been served load, they could come back to CEA anytime they want. If, however, they stay with CEA and the opt-out period, 60 days after launch, comes and goes, in order to come back to SDG&E, you have to wait a year. Come back to CEA, you have to wait a year, and that's a requirement of SDG&E.
Basically, it's kind of like an open season. But is it fair to say that there's an annual opportunity? So every year I could change back and forth? Is that accurate?
Well, I think you would have to notify them. If you've been served load by SDG&E, so you've opted out and you've been served your energy by SDG&E, they will make you wait for a year to come back in, but you have to let them know that your intention to come back in. If you are in SDG, if you stay with us and after the opt-out period, you decide, you know what, I want to go back to SDG&E. There's what's called a transitional bundled rate. You can either go back right away and SDG&E will put you on a transitional bundled rate, slightly higher than your typical rate for 6 months. Or you can wait 6 months to get back to SDG&E. The idea is that SDG&E needs that 6 months to buy the energy they'll need to serve that customer.
Mm-hmm. That's very complicated.
But
it sounds like there is, if a customer's motivated, there is an opportunity to switch back and forth.
Absolutely. And once you're with CEA, you can opt down, opt up, stay where you are whenever you want.
I am terrified that a local board of elected officials has the power to set rates without limitation to create excess revenues and to create programs of their own design for sounds like a very wide number of programs that they might devise. And so I, for one, am going to be watching very closely how the board of directors sets rates, creates programs. I have a deep concern that either this JPA or others will use this as a means of revenue or of redistribution of wealth. And I don't think that our electric utility should be used for that. I'm not speaking to you now, I'm speaking to your board of directors and to all of the elected officials whose agencies are members of a Clean Energy Alliance. That is concerning. Customers had a large focal point. It made news when the CPUC allowed rate changes for SDG&E. Rate changes approved by the board of directors of Clean Energy Alliance probably will not be reported on outside of local news outlets because the agency only serves a portion of county residents. So I'm asking elected officials and ratepayers to really hold the agency and their local elected officials accountable for rate changes. And I hope, and my last thought is, I hope that the agency will commit itself to rate transparency and benchmarking itself publicly for the benefit of ratepayers. Vista is 25% below the median income for the county. The people that live in our city don't have quite as much discretionary income in their pockets as a lot of our neighbors in the county. And so I concern myself a lot with the working families that live here. And this setting of utility rates is kind of scary, that it's a power that is now in our hands. So I hope that the board will commit itself to benchmark and compare rates with other agencies across the state so that we can see that we are, in fact, competitive. SDG&E has made very clear that it intends to cease procurement and supply of generation. So being competitive with SDG&E should not be something that customers look at in terms of what is competitive. The expectation, because SDG&E is leaving the generation business pretty much willfully and voluntarily, well, they've been voluntold to do so by the state legislature under state law. But because of the new law, we expect to see them cease investment in new power procurement. And therefore, we can expect to see that over time, probably as they stop investing in new power generation, their rates will get really high, and it'll look really weird, and probably nobody will want to continue to be an SDG&E generation customer. Wouldn't you say?
It's hard to predict, but that could be, you're very accurate that they have made it quite clear they want to get out of the delivery business. It's going to take some time for them to do that.
I just mean to point out to consumers that it wouldn't probably be fair to benchmark only against SDG&E's rates, because SDG&E has really signaled publicly that they probably don't have a strong intention to remain competitive. They understand that people are leaving en masse to CCA because of the opt-out model, and so I'm really going to be looking at that. It's going to be something that I'm going to speak to when we have increases, and I'm really going to hold the agency accountable when it comes to benchmarking our rates against other agencies, so that we know that we're providing the best value for the working families in our community. So I'm gonna hold you and your board members responsible for that, and hope that you'll work to the best benefit financially of our economy and the families that work and live here.
Okay.
And I appreciate you being here very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, that'll bring us to the end of our presentations. And we will now go to the oral communications portion of our meeting. Any member of the public may address the City Council on agency-related matters that are not on the agenda by requesting to speak during this section of the agenda. If you're participating via Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 now if you'd like to speak. And we've got at least 3 speakers here. We will start with Suzanne Holla, is it Holla or Hollum? Followed by Gary Duffield, and then we'll go to Barbara Gordon on Zoom. Is Suzanne with us? We'll ask Gary to come forward, or he's already in the front row. You can stay there, Mr. Duffield. I just want to make sure you're close at hand when it was your turn. Thank you, sir.
Hi, I am Suzanne Hallam, live on Lovely Lane, and I trust that you all got a copy of my email today. So I just want to put a face to the person that sent that email. It's about being able to hook up to the sewer. And in order for a property like mine, which is less than an acre out in Mar Vista area, in order to hook up, because I'm in the county, I live off of a county road, we have to do what's called an out-of-agency agreement. Or we could fully annex to the city, which we don't want to do. I've got 550 homes around me that are not. In fact, it's probably more like 850. You can go on the GIS and, plug the query in and figure out how many homes are involved here. And none of them, that to my knowledge, less than maybe 20 have an offer of annexation. They do not have an out-of-agency. They probably have nothing, because back in 1946, when my house was built, it was the first house up there. They didn't have these things. So going back to my notes, because I'm not a public speaker by any means. But the reason that we need this is I'm trying to build an ADU for myself, actually, so that my daughter and her children, my grandchildren, can live there. So in order to do that, we have to increase our sewer ability with septic, which we can't do because there's slopes and everything on the property. So we can't, and not only that, just so you know, we're talking $30,000 to begin with that I personally can't afford, but I have a good daughter who is going to finance it. So, these numbers are outrageous, and if you've been doing any work with ADUs right now, people are charging like ridiculous amounts of money, for building everything. I'm on a fixed income. We didn't get a raise like this, to live in this climate. But anyway, there is another way to do it, and that is for your council to make a proclamation or a resolution to allow this out of agency to happen, or to direct the city manager to allow it, or to put him to work to do it. I've already spoke to over 10 different people in the city, and they've all said, no, this can't be done. But the precedent case was a month ago when LAFCO allowed a Vista person in the Vista Sphere, just like my property.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. We'll have staff follow up with you. Mr. Duffield?
I'm here representing pickleball players who play at Bringles Terrace Park from 6:30 to 11:30, 7 days a week. And we're asking to have a couple of tennis courts converted over to pickleball. So the need for pickleball courts has existed since about June 2020, right after tennis courts were opened up after COVID. I previously spoke to the council on this one night at 11:15 p.m. back in 2022. We have over 200 seniors in our contact database that play. The oldest is 91. I'm one of 6 who's over 80. And the need is increasing for pickleball courts everywhere, I guess. Tennis, if you're familiar with Bringles Terrace Park, there have been 7 tennis courts. And in 2019, one of them, the farthest one back, number 7, was converted to pickleball. Anyway, 5 and 6 could easily be converted to pickleball courts just as 7 was. It's my understanding the park's budget has more than enough money on hand, and the conversion cost would be hundreds of thousands of dollars less than buying a new site and building new pickleball courts. Conversion, I would think, could be done maybe within 4 months, figuring your time factors for contracts and so forth, and the work. Pickleball players currently wait up 30 minutes to play while adjacent courts sit idle. We previously, on one occasion, were denied using one of the adjacent tennis courts by the park ranger when it sat vacant all morning. And our observation is that 5 and 6 are hardly ever used, and if so, it's usually when 1 through 4 are vacant. So staff has engaged an Indiana firm, a nationwide firm, to do a study of the entire department along with a site-specific study at Bringles. They had a workshop. In talking afterwards, one of their people acknowledged that we needed courts. So what we're asking is that you please put this on your agenda for the next meeting and take whatever action your system allows to make something happen, and maybe we'll get some courts here. And I've got my time's up, so. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duffield. You'll know that we moved our oral communications up to the earlier part of the meeting, just so that you didn't have to wait till 11:15. But we still have to be here that late if we choose.
People talk too much.
Yes. Most of those people being up here, including me. Okay, now we will go to Barbara Gordon on Zoom, followed by Peggy Walker.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. As someone who's concerned about public health, I have watched for years marijuana advocates claim that permitting marijuana would benefit society. It's natural, harmless, and even cures many ailments. Marijuana now is more accessible and acceptable, in part because it has created the false perception that the drug is safe. Advocates downplay the health risk, touting it as a largely harmless and non-addictive drug. But today's marijuana is 7 to 30 times more potent. Recent National Institute of Drug Abuse, or NIDA, reports 44% of people between the ages 19 and 30 reported marijuana use in 2022. 1 in 10 of the same age group admitted to daily use, a number that has doubled from past decades. Repeated use causes long-term effects, increasing risk of psychosis, schizophrenia, social anxiety, and many more. As more people use marijuana, 54% of users are considered high-frequency users by the industry, accounting for the vast majority of weed consumption. Scientific studies estimate that 1 in 3 who use marijuana become addictive. Marijuana damages mental health as well as cognitive, emotional, and social development. Scientific knowledge is essential for sound policy-making decisions. I urge the city to consider the consequences of promoting marijuana industry business interest over maintaining the public health protection. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy Walker, followed by, Peggy Walker, followed by Megan Stewart.
Thank you and good evening. I agree very much with the previous speaker. As a youth advocate and research analyst, I bring the concern of myself and others that you're visiting on us a legacy of mental and behavioral illness with an aggressive marijuana expansion policy. A newly published Psychology Today article points to steep rises in marijuana addiction, psychosis, and schizophrenia, noting that 30% of schizophrenia diagnoses among males 21 to 30 resulted directly from cannabis dependency. These young men very likely started use as teens. The article's author, a medical doctor, repeated what many experts say. We've entered a whole new world of harmful psychological effects from cannabis use with today's high THC potency, and underage kids are impacted. Pot addiction occurs in 1/5 to 1/4 of both recreational and medical users, Psychology Today reported. Addiction jumps to 33% for young people using pot weekly or more often, and is high among those using for depression and chronic pain. National Geographic reported psychosis risk higher from cannabis than from cocaine. The public, immersed in false industry messaging that marijuana is safe, deserves to know the truth about marijuana's mental and behavioral health risks. With due respect, public health, safety, and education are your responsibilities, Council, and should be a higher priority than promoting the addiction for profit industry. Thank you for listening to my concerns.
Thank you, Megan Stewart, followed by Peggy Rapp.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. My name is Megan Stewart, and I'm a public health professional. I'm here today to urge caution and restraint in the expansion of marijuana businesses and commercialization within our city. Recent evidence underscores the alarming risks associated with high-potency marijuana, particularly, concerning its potential to induce severe and long-lasting psychiatric disorders. Just 5 days ago, NBC News shed light on the tragic case of Anders Gilliland, a 17-year-old boy whose life was tragically cut short due to marijuana-induced psychosis. Anders, like many others, fell victim to the escalating potency of marijuana, experiencing delusions and hallucinations that ultimately led to his untimely death. His story serves as a poignant reminder of the grave consequences of unchecked marijuana consumption, especially among our youth. Studies from Denmark, Britain, and beyond reveal a concerning correlation between heavy marijuana use and debilitating psychiatric conditions such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and depression. The psychoactive component in marijuana, THC, has been steadily increasing in potency, specifically in commercial settings. This heightened potency not only increases the likelihood of psychosis, but also increases the risk of addiction in our community. The commercialization of high-potency marijuana poses a clear and present danger to our community, particularly to vulnerable populations such as teenagers and young adults. The dose-dependent nature of THC underscores the urgent need for stricter regulations to mitigate the proliferation of potent marijuana products and marijuana products marketed towards children. While some may argue for the economic benefits of embracing the marijuana industry, we must not prioritize profit over public health. The well-being of our citizens, especially our youth, must remain paramount in the decision-making process. I'd like to encourage the council to prioritize evidence-based policies that safeguard the mental health and well-being of our community. Thank you all for what you do.
Thank you. Becky Rapp.
Good evening, Mayor Franklin and Council. My name is Becky Rapp, and I come here as I'm concerned regarding the significant increase in drug use we're seeing on our city streets and the long-term impacts it's having on our city. I didn't particularly like the presentation that was recently given regarding marijuana special events, as they were described as providing an environment of celebration and community camaraderie. These highly addictive drugs are in reality only breaking our city down. I wanted to share with you a recent article published in the Washington Times titled, "Every dollar of marijuana tax revenue is associated with $4.50 in costs." A recent study from the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City determined that the permitting of marijuana businesses is associated with a 17% increase in substance use disorder or addiction, a 35% increase in chronic homelessness, and a 13% increase in arrests. The study also found that arrests for both violent and property crimes rose, which suggests an increase in law enforcement actions. I'd like to suggest that this council request a similar study based on local data here in our city, cross-examining data from 2016, prior to the passing of Prop 64. How have we seen chronic addiction increase, homelessness increase, as well as violent and property crimes go up? I'll bet our data will be similar to data across the country, as the permitting of marijuana businesses will never be able to close budget deficits or fund expensive social programs. Policymakers and voters must know the data, recognizing that expanding the marijuana market in our city will only bring detrimental harm to residents, potentially exacerbating the public health crisis that we are currently facing. Thank you.
Okay, that'll the end of our oral communications. So we'll now close the opportunity for oral communications this evening, and that'll bring us to our consent agenda. The recommendations on our consent calendar will be enacted in one motion unless an item is removed from the calendar. Any member of the public may remove an item by submitting a request to speak card to the clerk secretary by using the raise their hand feature on Zoom or pressing *9. Items removed from the consent calendar will be considered immediately following the adoption of the calendar. We have 3 consent items this evening. Councilmember Green.
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Melendez.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no other speakers, please cast your votes. That item is approved unanimously, and that'll bring us to our first public hearing this evening, our only public hearing. This public hearing is regarding a proposed code amendment to allow supplemental parking in 1-family and 2-family dwelling residential zones. The public hearing is now open. If any members of the public wish to speak on this item, they may indicate so by using the raise their hand feature by pressing *9 or submitting a request to speak card. Speakers will be called upon after the presentation. Our Assistant City Manager, Imelda Huerta, will introduce the item.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Imelda Huerta, Assistant City Manager. And tonight, the Assistant to the City Manager, Josh Sino Cruz, and I are presenting on the code amendments to allow supplemental parking in residential zones for 1-family and 2-family dwellings. As a brief background, the city's Code Enforcement Division receives numerous complaints about lawn and front yard parking. Proposed amendments to the Vista Development Code allow construction of supplemental parking adjacent to existing driveways for one family and two family residences. This proposal provides a solution to ongoing parking concerns and an option to correct citations for those with outstanding lawn parking violations. This also provides an opportunity for additional parking space due to the ongoing home affordability crisis and multiple family sharing homes, as well as aesthetic maintenance and enhancements. Here are just an example of parking on unpaved areas in the front yard. For the past 2 years, approximately 100 citations a year have been issued. There's currently a total of 80 open cases, which includes 27 addresses. I just wanted to note that these complaints are, citations are complaint-based, and now I'll hand it over to Mr. Sino Cruz, who will go over the proposed amendments and proposed processes.
Thank you. Good morning or good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of the City Council. The code amendment before you would allow property owners for one family and two family dwellings to construct one supplemental parking space within a required front yard or other required setback from a public or private street and are subject to the following requirements. The supplemental parking space shall be located immediately adjacent to the required driveway for the residential dwelling and between the driveway and the closest side lot line. The supplemental parking space shall be permanently constructed using a pavement section of not less than 4 inches of Portland cement concrete on native soil or 2 inches of asphaltic concrete over 6 inches of decomposed granite, or as determined by section 16.57090D of the zoning code. The construction materials for the supplemental parking space shall match the existing material of the required driveway. The addition of the supplemental parking space shall not result in a total curb cut exceeding 40% of the street frontage. Vehicles parked on the required driveway or supplemental parking space shall remain perpendicular to the public or private street fronting the lot. Angled parking or parallel parking to the street is prohibited. The director may grant exceptions to the above requirements through approval or of a zoning clearance pursuant to Chapter 18.71 of the zoning code. Such determinations are ministerial and not appealable. Exceptions shall not be granted unless it is found that there are special circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that would make strict application of the supplemental parking requirements infeasible or impractical. And the alternative design, location, and size of the supplemental parking space will not adversely affect the health, safety, or general welfare of persons residing or working in the vicinity or the property or improvements in the vicinity. The corresponding sections of the Development Code would need to be amended to state that parking is permitted in a parking area approved by the city as part of a developmental approval process or in a supplemental parking space pursuant to section 18.54105 of the zoning code. So this slide here is an example of what the additional constructed parking space could look like. Again, it would need to be built adjacent to the driveway closest to the side lot line, match the existing driveway, not exceed a curb cut of over 40% of the street frontage, and the vehicle must be parked perpendicular to the street.
I do want to quickly add that if curb cuts are done or driveway approaches or any work in the right-of-way, that would require an encroachment permit.
So the Planning Commission approved the code amendment at the March 5 meeting. They also recommended language to specifically include pavers as an alternative and allowable material. However, it is important to note that the drafted code before you will already allow for pavers and other engineered surfaces that can be approved by the community development and/or engineering directors. So finally, it's important to note that the creation of additional parking space is not required and it's optional for a resident to address their parking needs. It also does not require a permit, and any type of exceptions can be approved ministerially over the counter. All open related citations are on hold until after tonight's hearing, and residents affected by tonight's decision will be notified. Staff recommends closing the public hearing and approving the code amendments and adopting the ordinance as presented. So this concludes our presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions council has.
Okay, we have one speaker on this item. That's Richard Mang.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for listening to me. So in my neighborhood, there is a large and growing percentage of yards with yard parking, unpermitted or otherwise unpaved, and it does greatly reduce the aesthetics of the area. What I would request, of course, I didn't know there's no permitting process involved, but I would ask that because of the great backlog of requests for sidewalks to be installed, that when a homeowner does apply to install his supplemental parking, that prior to being able to install that, he would install the sidewalks if sidewalks are missing in that neighborhood. So that's my request for that. Also, I would like to make sure that this is just for commuter vehicles. I imagine there's already laws on the books against RVs, boats, and other trailers, but just want to make sure this is just for commuter vehicles and not project vehicles. You know, I want to make sure that they're all roadworthy, legal, running, registered, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you so much, staff, for coming up with this policy that seems flexible for property owners that may need to come into compliance. I definitely heard several concerns from residents. I know you say you have 80 cases open at 27 different addresses. I've probably heard from 15 of those residents at those addresses. Some do have very nice paved areas. They've actually already improved their driveway where they have an extended driveway with cement. Some of these are for recreational vehicles, some of them for RVs, some of them are for boats. Some of our older homes have one-car garages with one-car driveways, and it's not conducive for recreational vehicles per se. Yet these properties are on large lots and do have room in their property in the front yard. You know, if it looks good and it's conducive for the area, to park there. So this was brought forward to code because code was having to kind of play, I don't know what you call it, police, I guess, the neighborhoods based off of where people were parking in their yards and kind of how they looked. So I feel like this amendment not only allows for homeowners to improve their properties, but it also allows us to look at the aesthetics of the neighborhoods and make sure people aren't parking in their grass in their front yards, and then gives them an opportunity, if they only have a single car driveway, to have additional parking. Having us, police them and, write all these code violations for somebody who spent thousands and thousands of dollars improving their property seemed a little redundant to me. So I appreciate you coming up with it. I think the paver inclusion from the Planning Commission was great. When I looked at Section E right here, it said that the director may grant exceptions through the approval process. I'm assuming that's just on a case-by-case basis. Would that go to your office, Mr. Vaca, or does that? It does. Okay. No, I'm definitely for this. I feel like this is going to clean up our code a little bit. The people who have a little bit larger driveways than the 20-foot space are going to not be in violation of our code anymore. And the people who need to have additional parking will actually have a path to having some type of legal parking on their street. So I am all for this. I greatly appreciate all the work that staff's done on this. And with that, I would move to close the public hearing and approve this as presented.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
Thank you for your work on this. A great job, genuinely. I will second that motion. And just to clarify what Councilmember Green is asking, that is to clear up any right-of-way issues on the old agricultural areas, correct? Like if there's two paths or just narrow streets or whatever it might be where parking is challenging or driveways are a little bit different, those instances would be the special exceptions that we're talking about.
Yes, there could be various exceptions made, and it would either fall under our community development director for approval and/or our engineering director, depending on what the proposal is.
And just to be very clear with the public, this will not allow people to pave their front yard entirely and just create a parking lot. All right, that's good enough for me. Thank you.
Councilmember Green.
Just one more thing that I wanted to throw out there. The majority of these places don't, I mean, that at least the code violations that are open that I've seen haven't necessarily been in areas with curbs and gutters and sidewalks and things like that. Most of the problems we've been having are in the more rural residential areas. But as far as the sidewalks and curbs and gutter sidewalks within neighborhoods, we do have a new plan coming forward as a council as far as a walkability, a pedestrian plan, and any areas that will need sidewalks. Hopefully we'll be allotting your taxpayer money to your sidewalks and curbs and gutters in there where they're needed and welcomed. So thank you again, staff, for this. Thanks, Dan, and look forward to getting this done.
Now, if somebody builds a new driveway addition, they don't need a permit if it doesn't, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if it doesn't comply with our standards, then it becomes code enforcement's job to, okay. And without this change, what is the present code if I want to add to my driveway right now, before we make this change? Do I have to come in and get a permit to do that?
There is no, and I can defer to planning, but there is no permit for flat surfaces unless they're going to do work in the right-of-way area or change the curb cut or driveway approach, but I'll defer to Mr. Vaca for additional details.
Thank you, Mayor Franklin. Thank you, council. The current code requirements allow a maximum driveway width of 24 feet. So you couldn't expand typically beyond that 24 feet in width with the current standards the way they are.
Interesting. So nobody in Vista right now has a legal maximum greater than 24 feet?
Unless it was approved with a 3-car garage, there may be some instances as part of the development plan that was approved by a planning commission to have a wider driveway for a 3-car garage.
I see. And what will there be a maximum width after?
So the additional parking stall is supposed to be 9 feet in width unless there's an exception made, so that'd be 33 feet if they were to add an additional parking stall on the side.
Okay, so that maximum will still apply there.
Yes, but keep in mind that the frontage would still be limited to 40% of the width of the lot. So if
Right.
it was a 50-foot wide lot, that'd be a 20-foot wide approach. And typically driveway aprons are 16 feet wide.
Yeah. That's interesting. Much more of the curb frontage of my home is covered with I live on a cul-de-sac. So
yeah,
I'm on a
that
pie-shaped
happens.
lot.
That happens, yeah. And then there's no parking, no street parking.
Yeah, does that become an exception to that?
It's because of the geometry of the street
Right.
at the bulb. But yes, then if you needed an exception, we could make an exception for something like that. If someone had a tree in their side yard and they want to preserve that tree and want to have their parking stall 8 feet wide to preserve the tree, we would accommodate that as an exception.
Now, if I want to pave right up to the lot line, and that's within that 9 feet, I can pave right up to the lot line?
Yes, as long as it's not affecting the drainage off your property.
So I don't have to maintain any buffer?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. And with regard to pavers, so if I presently have pavers, then I can use pavers. But if I presently have concrete, I have to use concrete.
Yes, you're supposed to match.
Okay.
However, that can also be an exception. If you want to do pavers, you would come in and talk to the planning department to see if that would be allowed.
So this is a good solution staff worked on to address a problem, and I think it'll benefit the community.
I'm concerned about the unintended consequences here. Yeah, and if I don't have a boat or an RV, but if I did, I'd probably be looking to add a parking space for it.
While our current requirements allow people to park RVs in the driveway in front of a garage.
That's true. And although it's a lot more attractive if I don't have to move my car out of the way to get the, anyway, you get the idea. This, for people that live in an HOA with CC&Rs,
Yes.
this wouldn't change the CC&Rs.
No,
So-
the CC&Rs would rule. We wouldn't necessarily be verifying that at the counter. We would have the responsibility be placed on the homeowner.
Okay.
It's their responsibility to comply with their CC&Rs.
I'm going to vote for it, and here's why. I live in an HOA. I like the rules in my HOA. I chose that. People that don't live in an HOA chose not to have all the rules. So I think we should look at this again in a year. And can we just add the caveat that we just have a quick review of this? We don't have to change it, but can we just bring this back in 12 months after enactment, or maybe 18 months, just so that we're reminded and we can just give an opportunity, hear from anybody that wants to, and we just remember whether this is a good experiment. Would that be all right with everybody?
I would accept that friendly amendment to my motion, no problem, and maybe an update on a consent calendar in 18 months or so?
Yeah, it could be on the consent calendar, but that way there's a punctuated opportunity to review this.
Of course. I think that's a great idea. So yes, I'd accept it. Would you allow that?
I will allow that.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate
No
that.
problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So with that, thank you very much, Mr. Vaca, and to all the staff on this one. Thank you. Seeing no other discussion on this item, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. That item is approved unanimously. That will bring us to the first of two discussion items this evening. The first is regarding e-bike safety, a training and rebate program. And I want to thank staff for bringing this forward. This is something that I've been calling for after seeing, unfortunately, the deaths of young people in our neighboring communities. I'm thankful to God that we haven't had any young person who has yet been killed in our city, but with the increase in prevalence of these e-bikes, we have a lot of concerns ahead of us for young riders. So I would say if there are any members of the public that want to speak on this item, they can indicate so by using the raise their hand feature or by pressing *9 or submitting a request to speak card. Speakers will be called upon after the presentation. Our assistant to the city manager, Josh Sino Cruz, will introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of the City Council. I'm here alongside Cassidy McCarthy, the Climate Action Plan Program Administrator, and we'll be presenting on the e-bike safety training and rebate program. So in November 2023, the City Council approved the allocation of funds from excess cannabis revenue for the implementation of an e-bike safety and training course with an affiliated rebate program. The city plans on partnering with the San Diego County Bike Coalition to conduct the training. There will be two types of courses offered, a virtual training and an in-person training. The virtual training session will be focused on e-bike safety. These sessions will serve as a basic training course covering essential safety guidelines and best practices for e-bike riders. The in-person training will be a 3-hour course limited to 20 participants per session. This course will include hands-on practical training on e-bike usage and safety. It aims to provide a more comprehensive understanding of e-bike operation and safety measures. As part of this program, staff will also incorporate the distribution of safety helmets, which Council also approved funds for with excess cannabis funds. To qualify for the rebate, residents must provide proof of residency in Vista, along with a receipt showing the purchase of an e-bike within 12 months prior to or following the training class. Purchases can be made online or at various businesses in North County. Those attending the virtual session would receive a $50 rebate. Those who attend an in-person training would receive rebates in the amount of $100 for online purchases, $200 for purchases made from North County businesses, and $300 for purchases made from businesses in the city of Vista. Additionally, residents meeting low income criteria would be eligible for a $400 rebate from any qualified purchase type. Low-income residents can also reserve their rebate for up to 12 months if they're unable to cover the upfront cost. Each household is eligible for a maximum rebate of $450. Each household is limited to 2 rebates, one for attending the virtual session and one for attending the in-person class. The table shown here is for illustrative purposes to demonstrate how the rebate funds could be expended and distributed amongst participants. Finally, staff proposes a May launch to coincide with National Bike Month. That concludes our presentation, and we're available to answer any questions during this discussion.
Thank you very much. Also want to say a particular thank you to our former planning commissioner, Gary Gerritsen, who sent me a number of emails about this item after the fatalities in neighboring communities and urged me to bring it forward. Councilmember Contreras.
Thank you. Thank you to staff. Thank you to my council for earmarking this when we were trying to go through a bunch of different priorities that we had. And I do thank the mayor for bringing forward e-bike safety. This is something, a safety training program that had classes that were both virtual and in person, along with the rebate program, is something that I heavily lobbied for internally. So thank you so much for staff for adding this to our budget recommendations. My question is, so it looks like we have about $18.6 thousand of the 100,000 is going to our classes, right? So like about 18.6%.
Yeah, that's what it would roughly cost.
Okay. And then the remaining 81.4, so $81,400 remaining goes into the rebate. And so I just wanted to make sure that we were going to have enough space for people to do in person. So it looks like you did the calculation already ahead of time, because if we were, say everybody, I mean, this is like best case scenario, right? Folks that qualify for $400 off of that 81,400, we could serve about 203 folks, but it looks like the capacity for in-person classes is around 240. Did I get that right? Okay, perfect. This is great. I'm not aware of any other cities along the 78 corridor that are doing something like this. Are there other examples for us to look at here in the county?
None that we're currently aware of.
Okay, so this is a huge deal. The city is really taking initiative to not only make sure that folks are well-trained for e-bike safety in the community, but also to provide folks that just can't meet that price point of a new e-bike with a pretty significant discount, right? So I really, really commend us for moving in this direction. I love it. I think the way that you all structured it is perfect. So I will just let the rest of my colleagues have their comments. In the recommendation, though, it doesn't look, are you looking for us to do a motion to accept this, or what are you looking for?
So yes, we'd like to get a motion, if you're okay with the staff setup here, and then we'll just implement the program as proposed. If you'd like to see any changes, we'd like to hear from council tonight.
Okay, well, I think this is great. I think it's outlined very well. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve that this program move forward as structured, and then we'll hear from the rest of my colleagues to see if they want to amend anything. Thank you.
One thing that I'd like to see included this is that when people register, I'd like to give a preference to minors for signing up for the classes. So I'd like to reserve the first spaces, if that's possible, for those who are under the age of 18. Councilmember Green?
I guess I would be okay with that. Maybe a certain percentage of them reserved for the youth, and a percentage maybe reserved for like the underserved community, or people who qualify for that low income. I just don't want to reserve so many for kids under 18 that I'm jeopardizing a low income family from getting a bike, is my thing. And some kids under 18 may come from a family that's more predominant. If they're under 18, do they still have to provide income information from a youth standpoint?
If it would, I think it's you mean for the low income?
Yeah, like it's family income based. It doesn't matter about age.
No, it would be for the household, so we would take that in consideration for the household, not the individual.
Okay, and you guys don't have any allocations as far as ages go right now? Doesn't really matter. It's just based off of income. I'd like to hear what my counsel says. I was just going to second your motion kind of as it was made. I definitely do want to make sure that some of this goes to kids, but I think even more importantly, making sure that it's allocated to our low income community that actually may not be able to afford an actual car, and this might be their only source of travel and their only ability to get to and from. I would make sure they're taken care of equally, I guess, with our youth would be my thing. So also, my main thing was thank you. This is fantastic. Knowing that there's no program like this anywhere in the county, you came up with it on your own. You figure out what would be effective, what the best way would be, how many people could attend. This is a science experiment, and you guys gave it to us. It looks fantastic. It's something we're going to be able to implement, and that doesn't happen without a lot of hard work and research. So I know we get the beauty of making a motion and seconding it and putting it into policy, but you've really put a lot of work into it, and I just wanted to say thank you, and I guess we'll figure out what we want to do with the motion. Thank you. But yes, I do second if she wants to just go as is. Thank you.
The reason I'm so concerned about the kids is because they are the ones who are getting killed. Because having been a kid once, kids do dumb stuff because they're kids. And they're probably most likely to have their life saved by having some training about how to be safe on the road, get a helmet. And so the other part of it's exciting to help people across but this is really the rebate was to incentivize people to take the class. There's children in the low-income communities that'll get this, but my fear is that there's going to be a child that, I want to save the kids' lives. That's what I'm going for here.
If we did it as a 50% allocation to make sure at least 50% goes to kids, obviously more can go to kids, but at least 50% goes to youth, would that be acceptable?
75.
Ask the maker of the motion. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
I will yield a moment to Councilmember Contreras.
Councilmember Contreras.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to speak to this point of the discussion. I totally get what you're saying. I mean, this is exactly, it's kids, and it's also, we have recently seen fatalities that have been adults, right? So I get your point. It's also the reason why, we had a council majority put forward real protected bike lanes, which city manager, are those still on track to be completed by the end of this year? Do we have a timeline on that?
The protected bike lanes?
Correct.
Yeah, we're supposed to go out to bid with that, I believe, in May, and we're expecting that project to be completed hopefully in the fall.
Okay, awesome. Because that's more than even education, having a separated bikeway, a bike facility is what is going to help folks be protected. So maybe that's something too in the future we can continue as a council being responsible to adding to that network. And when we're thinking about kids, linking that to our schools, right? Safe routes to schools. I wanted to ask because I am under the impression that Vista Unified School District already partners with San Diego County Bike Coalition to do training. Is that correct?
That's correct. The next one is going to be April 24th.
Okay, and are those outside of the classes that we are proposing?
Yes, so that's a separate class altogether that is targeted just to students, not to, families can go, but it is targeted to students who ride their bikes to and from.
Okay, so with that information, I just want to say I totally get what you're saying, Mayor. I have a huge concern. I just purchased an e-bike myself. I've been waiting, and I'm going to get it a little bit before our protected bike lanes go in, but you'll see me not only just walking and taking public transit, but I'll be on my e-bike as well. And I ended up getting something that was lighter, and also that I could put on the bus because there's only 3 racks for. So anyways, I think that the motion as is and this program as is, I like it. If anything, I would actually go off of what Councilmember Green said to ensure that we kind of front load this program with folks that are low income as first priority. Because an e-bike being anything from $800 to $2,500 or more if you want to get. I was looking at one that had a little sidecar. I was like, oh, great, I can put my dog in there. Yeah, $4,000 later, I was like, maybe I can't get that right now. But so, I would just love to hear from the rest of my council if you would agree with maybe having, and I don't know what it would look like. I don't know, staff, if you already have an idea of what low-income preference would be. But I see a lot of folks in my district that are biking, and I've talked to folks that say they can't afford the e-bike, but their nearest bus stop is actually like, it's that 1 mile gap, right? So they're trying to get there, and they have to walk in the dark. So getting them an e-bike, the opportunity to get an e-bike at a discounted rate, they could get to that bus stop or the transit center a little bit faster. It's a little bit safer that way. But anyways, if anybody on the council has any recommendations as far as low income, I'm willing to, have that discussion. If not, then I'm ready to accept this with the second from Councilmember Green. Thanks.
Go back to Councilmember O'Donnell.
Yeah, so I'm fully on board with that. Mayor, I understand what you're trying to say because I do there are a lot of young children that I see riding these bikes around. So I understand and agree with the point you're trying to make. Knowing, because I have had conversations with like Dr. V and Dr. Doyle and other people regarding programs like this, knowing that Vista Unified does work directly with our students kind of helps me alleviate that issue. But what I would like to see, because I know this is based off cannabis revenue that we're funding it through, if we come up to that wall or we come up to that issue, I would like to bring it back before the council to find additional funding, because if there are youth that are not able to fulfill this program and get the training that they need, and that need is there, then I want to make sure that we fund this program, not just for now, but for future instances as well. So I'd be open, pardon? Is that an amendment to the? Yeah, I'll make the amendment if we want to bring it back, or well, would I even be bringing it back? I mean, I don't even know if an amendment needs to be made, just because if we hit that situation, yeah.
I can certainly bring it back when we do the year-end fund balance to identify if there's additional funding for continuing the program. We can report out at that time where the numbers are with respect to who's this been granted for.
Yeah, I think that's great. And then we'll have data on the age and individuals from income and everything else that we're looking at. So I think we can alleviate any concerns we have at that time. But if they're still there, then I think we should address them then and just move forward and make sure we can prioritize however we decide to do so.
When staff originally began to devise a proposal here, we talked about reaching out to VOSD and including them in this. So it sounds like you discovered that they already have a program.
Yeah, we've actually participated in the past 3 VUSD family bike education nights. There was one this in January, and then I believe there was one in October of last year. So this next one's in April. But we've been participating, and we've been active members of educating the youth, or just being there to support them.
Do we have any statistics about how many Vista youth have participated in VUSD's bicycle safety training program?
We don't have any specific statistics on it, no. From personal account, the night that I went, there was unfortunately only one child who was there. It was a rainy night, and it was in Oceanside, and I think that had a lot to do with it. But I don't know how October went.
I see Ms. Huertas coming forward. Maybe she has some information to share with us.
Oh, it's on. Yes, I went to the first one, which is last fall, and it was very full. I'm going to say maybe 100 kids or more at that event, and that was it was at that school that's actually in Oceanside, but Vista Unified. Yeah. Yes, and that one was very well attended.
And they were giving a course in bike safety?
Yes, it was a presentation on bike safety and e-bike safety, and they also had somebody from a local hospital there. They had Ed's Bikes there. We were there as well to provide information and support.
You say it's a presentation. I mean, it was just like they put a booth out, or is it actually a course with curriculum?
I apologize. Yes,
Yeah.
it was a course by the Bike Coalition, a PowerPoint with different bike safety tips and what helmet safety.
Rules of the road were
Yes, rules of
covered and-
road. They even had a little packet they were giving out, which we have as well. It was very informative, and I think we're going to go to the April one. And we're also looking to incorporate that program here at the Civic Center before the next school year starts. It was about an hour and a half long, if I remember correctly.
And did they have any means of incentivizing the young people to participate?
They did have some giveaways, including helmets. Ed's Bikes had some giveaways as well. We had swags to give away, so that was the incentive. We also they also provided food and light refreshments. But it was very well attended by both students and parents.
Okay. One of my concerns with this program that's being proposed is I don't see any dollars that are for the publicity. And we've done some things in the past that we didn't focus on telling people about, and then nobody knew we were doing it. How are we planning to tell people that we're doing this?
Yeah, we would be working with our communications team, then also with the school district and getting the word out through them, and then also, just through our website and with the coalition helping spread the word.
And in addition, when we're going to have Bike Anywhere Day on May 16th. We'll be giving out free helmets. Any other opportunity to give out free helmets, we'd be able to educate on this program.
So I'm super curious to know more. And now, are you going to bring this back to us in a perfected form for approval, or?
Not unless you want me to, but we sure can.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
But I would like somehow a follow-up on exactly what the publicity is with the,
Sure.
Ideally, every child in Vista would learn about this opportunity and have a chance to participate and get a bike safety certificate and definitely a helmet. And let's go back to Councilman Green.
Certainly. I just wanted to specify, as far as VUSD's program, it's my understanding that if you want to ride an e-bike to school and park it at school, you have to go through their safety program. So you actually have to have a certificate that says you went through their e-bike safety program, or you can't ride your bike to school. So from a safety standpoint and an educational standpoint, that's the incentive to the kids. It's like, my son parks his car at Mission Vista High School, and he has to provide all of his documentation in order to get a permit for it, saying he's done all the stuff. They're basically requiring the same thing. So they've seen what you've seen with the youth having issues on the road, not abiding by the rules of the road, running lights, running stop signs, and they're really concentrating on educating our students so that if they want to ride their bikes to school before and after, that they'd be properly educated. So I just want to make sure, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of that program. It really is more towards an educational standpoint. So that's all, and I would say let's get her done.
Okay, that's really important information that I didn't have before, which is they don't allow you to ride your bike to school without participating in that program. So that's the way that they've incentivized or required the children. That's very important, because that's what we're really trying to get. That's what I'm trying to get out here, is making sure that the kids get access to this life-saving information. Councilmember O'Donnell.
If you'd like it, I will give the $2,500 in my communications balance to this program for communication purposes. And if I did not mention it earlier, Josh Cassidy, amazing work on this. It is really, I mean this sincerely, very tremendous.
Here's what I would say, if we're all okay with it. Let's give staff discretion to use after, again, completely at their discretion. You got 12 classes scheduled, 4 virtual. If the participation is low, we want people to participate. So let's use some of the money, let's call it up to $7,500 that we would have otherwise given away in rebates to get people aware of the program and to participate if it's necessary, and with the staff having the discretion to transfer within this $100,000 those funds if they feel it's necessary. But I don't want to host $15,000 worth of classes or $18,600 worth of classes that 10 people show up to because we didn't properly publicize it. So I just want to make sure that they have some budget for some advertisement communication. Is everybody okay with that? No? Okay, you're okay with the classes being unattended and empty. Okay, very good. Councilmember Contreras.
Wow. Okay. No, I'm not okay with classes being empty, but if we're going to be spending $7,500, that's really low amount. I'm sure we can find that in our budget. I would love to hear back from staff to see how this is going, just like we said before, and I'm ready to vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Okay, that's approved unanimously. That'll take us to our second discussion item, the public art program to address graffiti. If any member of the public wishes to speak on this item, they may indicate so by using the raise their hand feature, by pressing *9, or by submitting a request to speak card. Speakers will be called upon after the presentation. Councilmember Contreras asked for this item to be on the agenda, so we'll ask her to introduce it.
Awesome. You know what? It looks like Councilmember Green has to go. What I would love to do is, we have a graffiti problem. This has to go to our Arts Commission. We're just trying to provide general discussion here. I don't know how fast I could go, but I would love for you to be able to say, yes, I think that we should send this to the Public Arts Commission to figure out how to address our graffiti issue, especially in high-frequency areas. We have all the data. Is that something that you would support?
Councilmember Green.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Contreras. Appreciate you giving me the thing. Yes, 1,000% I would definitely approve sending it back to staff to allocate some funding and some research for. I think a community graffiti wall, a community graffiti spot, whether it's at the new Unipop building in your district, or whether we actually make a wall somewhere, as long as the city is indemnified, I don't know what you call it, left non-liable, indemnified. What's the word? Give it to me, Mr. Help me out.
Indemnified.
Indemnified, that's the word I'm looking for, as to whatever is on the wall. Because when you have a freedom of expression with graffiti and things, we can't really control what people put on there, but I'm all for it. I think we do it, and as long as we're protected from a city liability standpoint, we're good to go. And I think it's a great solution to giving these artists an outlet where they can actually express themselves. So thank you for bringing it forward.
Councilmember Melendez. Deputy Mayor Melendez.
Thank you, Mayor. I absolutely see that we've had increase in issues with tagging and illegal graffiti in neighborhoods and areas that are quite surprising. I know that a lot of these areas can't be mitigated through public art because perhaps they're on the sidewalk, right? Or they're in another location that wouldn't be conducive to a mural. I'm of the opinion that when you beautify a neighborhood or community or a corner, you have the opportunity to reduce negative behaviors. And so I would be supportive of providing more mural opportunities, especially in areas where there's high peaks of illegal tagging. I know we wanted to make sure Councilmember Green had an opportunity to share his thoughts before he had to leave, but I wanted to check to see if there were any public comments on this item. Okay, so I would be supportive of taking this concept of, we have more tagging in our community. Is there a way we could use the public art process to mitigate that? I would be supportive of paying local artists. I would also be supportive of volunteer efforts. I know when I served in AmeriCorps, there were many beautification projects that I was a part of that were on a voluntary basis. So, I think there's more research that's needed, but the enforcement of these types of behaviors, especially when it comes to youth, I believe in developing pro-social spaces. And that can start with beautification of those streets. Of course, it won't work for everywhere. We have a very diligent graffiti abatement team that works every day to scrub, clean, and paint over some of these marks that are meant to be provocative. They are meant to push against the status quo. They're meant to tell their peers, I'm better than you. What are you going to do about it? And that spirit of competition, if there's some way we can harvest that spirit of competition within these youth, and maybe even not only develop murals and art programs, but develop youth programs and interventions to give them an opportunity to express their excellence and their creativity, I think we could see a lot happen there. So I would be supportive of any initiative where we're beautifying neighborhoods and we are giving youth an opportunity to express their angst and their will and their competitive spirits in a way that is healthy and good for the community.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
Great comments, Deputy Mayor. I'm all for if we wanted to create more opportunities for murals. I had the fortunate opportunity to live in Sydney, Australia, where they had a lot of alley art. And when you walk through, it is just, it stopped tagging altogether because people didn't tag these beautiful murals that they were painting on these old buildings and on the backs of them. I'd be hesitant to make a graffiti wall unless there was a way legally, and I don't know if we could do this, but where we would be able to hold the discretion and that Vista would own anything that was tagged on it. We would own the wall and any, well, I see Walter leaning into the mic, so I don't know if we'd be able to do that.
It would be hard if we're going to make it an open graffiti wall, kind of where some cities, I think LA is trying to do something like this. It becomes a free speech problem. And so if you're going to have to potentially have to accept hate speech, vulgarities,
I guess that was
gang tags. We would legally run into a problem, wiping those out. So
yeah, I guess that would be my question. If we were to adopt language that would let the public know that no matter what's written on this wall, we own it, we have the copyright, whatever it might be, and leave that in a public forum where it's displayed. That way, if that instance were to occur, we'd be able to remove it immediately.
So that would be hard too, because under copyright law, the author automatically owns the copyright whether it's registered or not. So we would actually need to legally have them sign a contract saying that before anything they put on the wall, they will give us ownership. And if they were willing to do that, sure. If they're not, then we can't. They would own the copyright even without any registration.
I was this close to going to law school, and now I wish I had. Thank you. So I would not be in favor of a graffiti wall just for that reason. Like, I don't want anything like that coming up to where we can't remove it or whatever it might be. But I'm definitely open to more murals in the city of Vista in public spaces, that as many as we can. I think it beautifies the space. I think that Deputy Mayor is 100% correct that when you beautify your neighborhoods, it removes some of the nefarious activities that we see. I know even by me, like the tagging I see is not. It is not your typical taggers. It is typically gangs that are going in there to spread turf and territory and let people know what's available. And they don't necessarily do it in the public space. They do it in hidden spaces that we don't always get to see. So it's hard to abate and remove. But I think this is a great idea, though, for where we're going with it. I like to see the direction this goes, but I appreciate you bringing it forward.
That's a very good point that you raised. The core of the Supreme Court's interpretation of the First Amendment is about content-based moderation. So, in fact, anything that we choose, we can't choose to censor the content because it's vulgar or because we disagree with it. So, yeah, we do open ourselves up at that point to potential lawsuits that would be concerning. And some graffiti looks really cool. I mean, I say, and we talked about this earlier. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to call it graffiti. To me, graffiti means illegal spray paint art or tagging. I don't know what you call spray can art that's not illegal. Street art, okay, lawful street art, whatever it is. I mean, spray cans are a legitimate form of artistic, media for legal artists. But I wouldn't call that graffiti because it's legal and it's wanted and it's beautiful. But I'm just saying some of those I think a lot of the murals that we have in Vista, probably some of them were done with spray cans. And some of them are amazing, but some artwork. I mean, one of the things we always do is we always kind of get a mock-up of something, and then we can see it, and then we expect the artist to generate a larger scale of that, and that way we have some review in advance. I'd want to see that. I'm totally open to hearing whatever ideas the Art Commission has for eliminating graffiti. I strongly support that. While we're having the discussion, I just want to say that I want to appreciate our city manager and our city attorney. We've had a discussion about being very aggressive about painting out gang-related graffiti on public and private property. So if any resident has any graffiti concerns, even on private property, we've opened our stance now to assist residents with removing graffiti or painting out graffiti, even on private property. In some discussions with residents of neighboring cities, some of our neighboring cities have been much more aggressive than Vista in assisting residents for free at eliminating graffiti. I think that we should be fully committed to eliminating illegal tagging, particularly, I think the city should commit itself to, 1 hour response on gang-related graffiti. There is way too much gang-related graffiti showing up in our community. It has got to stop. The gangs don't own our city. Our families do. So I just want to remind people that they can call 760-643-6177 to report graffiti and get help from the city to remove it, or they can go to Access Vista, or just Google and call the main line to the city of Vista, or call your city council person or the mayor, and we'd be glad to help you. Councilmember Contreras.
Thank you, and sorry I had to rush through that first part because I wanted to make sure Councilmember Green was able to speak on the record. Yeah, and I totally hear the issues about a graffiti wall, right? That's why I left this discussion pretty broad. I just wanted to make a few points. You can look at the add to packets since 2021 on public land. We have seen over 20,000 incidents of graffiti. On private, we have seen 1,000, right? I want to make sure that in high frequency areas, so areas that are experiencing a huge amount of graffiti, and I'm wondering if we could do a heat map, if we have the GIS, the actual location of each one of these events, if that we could be able to create a heat map based on that. So that way we can look at some of the high frequency areas. And I don't want it to just be public, but I also want it to be private, because what I've heard, listen, just even over the course of the last few weeks, my district has suffered an incredible amount of graffiti. It's everywhere. I didn't want to give it any showcase, which is why I didn't add it. I really wanted to, I did want to illustrate what the problem is, but I don't want to advertise the graffiti, so I decided against that. But I think that we can let the Public Arts Commission provide us recommendations. I think we need to provide them with some tools to be able to do that. So again, I would love to see a heat map that could be sent to the council too, right, in our weekly update. And I want both private and public property to be eligible for any kind of beautification, mural, whatever the case might be that our Arts Commission comes up with. That will, I'm assuming, once they have their discussion, that recommendation would be sent to council, and then we would have another deliberation about it. So I think this provides us with a good starting point to figure out how we're going to meet our goal of a cleaner, more beautiful Vista, right? And we added the issue of illegal graffiti. But I definitely want to say that I agree. I don't want to get into any issues with free speech. And I think that money could be better allocated to paying local artists. So there's a few spots I can tell you, right off the top of my head, on North Santa Fe at the mobile park. There is a really long wall between, it starts at east, right? Because it's the east part of east. And then it goes almost halfway between that area and the next light on Cananea and West Indian Rock. And that wall gets tagged all the time. I mean, it would be so beautiful to have a long mural there, right? So different things like that that we can do to beautify our neighborhood and provide another protection against illegal tagging. Because I'll tell you, I've seen the murals in my district. They stay up for a while. The one at La Mexicana is still there. I took a picture of it. Looks pristine still. Every once in a while, things get a little bit tagged and they just get a little bit of paint to fix things up, but it's not so bad. I mean, the side of 7-Eleven had, and Salsa Market, the entire facade was tagged. And I don't want to see that. I also agree with Deputy Mayor regarding more programs for our youth. So I would love to see our Arts Commission do some recommendations. Maybe they work with Vista Unified School District or our own youth commission to figure out, what can we do to help our youth that are participating in these types of activities. I've seen it in my own family. I grew up with family members that were members of our local gang here. And the sooner that we can intervene in a positive way, we can really change someone's life trajectory. And I wish that there would have been more programs available for my cousins, and my uncles and folks that I've seen live a very difficult life. That was a gang life. So I really appreciate the conversation. And I don't think we need a motion. We're just providing some direction to staff, and it'll come back to us. And if there's anything else that you all want to add to this, please do. But I really appreciate the support on this. This is the only thing I want for my birthday, okay? So thank you.
Okay, thanks for the discussion on that. We have one remaining oral communication speaker, Mr. Bill Froelich.
Hello again, Mr. Mayor, Council, and staff. I just wanted to keep in the forefront of your minds, if you can, about the upcoming ordinance for the short-term rental situation in Vista. I know it's a very complicated issue on lots of different levels, but please consider the duration of time that would be mandatory to rent a facility in the middle of a residential area, and how it could be, while it may present seemingly some sort of detriment to doing business to make that length of time be 3 nights or more, it would greatly affect the one-night party situation, of which there's a really nice one going on at my house right now. And please feel free to drive right over the hill on the Crescent and join them if you want, or check it out. But this has been going on again this week a few nights. Every night is a different rental, and every night is a different party. And just consider that in the middle of a residential area, it just doesn't, there's something fundamentally wrong about doing that kind of business in a neighborhood every night. It's just not right. In downtown, maybe, or in rental areas or commercial areas, yeah, but there's just something not right about it. And that's why so many of these other cities have adopted that kind of a policy that may go along with your 3 strikes rule, which is a great idea. But beauty is more than just something you're looking at, a painting. It's the absence of things. And please consider that as this ordinance gets drafted. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Those short-term rental regs will be heard by the Planning Commission on May 7th and come back to the City Council on May 28th. We certainly will be paying attention to that. That's the end of our meeting for this evening, but that will bring us to our opportunity for comments from staff and council. Any comments from the Deputy City Clerk, City Attorney?
Just happy birthday to Councilman Gutierrez. I was going to bring you a chocolate cake, but last week you said no. Right, so happy birthday.
City Manager?
All right, happy birthday, council member. Registration for city summer day camps is underway. This year's program will run from June 10th to August 9th at Bringle Terrace Park. Also, Rec and Community Services are offering new youth activities for summer, which include a summer basketball league, a sand volleyball instructional league, a summer sports camp, ultimate frisbee classes, and more. For information on both of these programs, visit vistarecreation.com. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Donnell.
You know it. Happy birthday, first off and foremost. Just a quick update from Cal Cities. These are just 3 quick bullet points, so it won't be a long one, but $103 billion has, or was it million, not billion, allocated to Imperial Beach to try and clean up what has been over 800 days of closure at their beaches down there. So I stand in full support of that, and I hope the rest of our region will, because that needs to end. They took a watch position on AB 1999. And with that, just a quick update on the CPUC. They did come down with a potential decision which would actually make the rates to $24 and maintain the rates for anybody that are on programs currently with the utility companies. So that is significantly lower by about $120 than the original plan. Don't know if I'm on board with it yet still, but I need to read over the entire decision before I can come back with anything more than that. Staff, I didn't even thank our abatement team, so if you're listening or you're here, phenomenal job. You guys really do a great job at making sure our city stays clean and gets, all the graffiti that goes up. So thank you for that, and staff, as always, just great job. Congratulations to our 6 new Vista firefighter EMTs that graduated their class recently. We were able to join them on, was it Saturday or Sunday? I don't remember now.
Saturday.
But it was a great ceremony, so just congratulations to all those guys, and men and women, I should say. May 10th at 6 p.m. right here at the Morris Vance Room, I will be having my town hall for the CEA. I hope the community can join us so we can answer questions. I know the CEA will be there, as well as some of our staff members, so we can shed some more light on what that program looks like. And then, as always, thank you to my wife for allowing me to be here, but another big birthday is this month, and that is my son Caleb, who will be turning 1 on April 18th. So I just want to give him a quick happy birthday. Thank you for the discussion this evening, and you all have a great night.
Councilmember Contreras.
All right, so I do want to provide one update. I'm trying to get NCTD to come here and provide a presentation on quiet zones. I know it's something that a lot of folks have been asking for. The other thing is, if you want to pick up trash and help beautify District 1, Jovita Serafín and Guerreras en Acción por un Vista Limpio are still at it every single Wednesday. You can reach them through social media. You can always contact me, and I can put you in contact with her as well. They were recently featured again. She's on the news all the time for really good stuff, putting a great face to Vista, but they were on the news again recently on Univision as a special, showcasing their dedication to beautifying their community, all on a voluntary basis. So other than that, I hope everybody has a really good rest of your day, night, and go have a taco or two. Thanks. Oh, one last thing. Speaking of taco, I almost forgot. If you want a free taco, come to Luz Duran Park at 4:30 this Thursday on the 11th. Really thankful to our previous assembly member, Tasha Berner, provided us with a substantial amount of funds where we can create a new substation for our sheriffs just down the street over here across from Chin's. But with that, we're looking at what can be done with the Little House at Luz Duran Park. So it will be an open house. Most of the time this place is closed. A lot of folks curious to see what it looks like inside. Come get a taco at 4:30, and the open house starts at 5 p.m. So I look forward to seeing you there.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for the discussion tonight. Sir, thank you for your comments about the short-term rentals. I had previously initiated that discussion probably close to a year and a half ago now, and through a lot of diligent work from our staff, we will finally be able to see an ordinance come to fruition, and I think that that will be really good for the neighborhoods. I think it's important to regulate those commercial type uses within residential neighborhoods. So please look forward to that discussion. I hope to see you on May 28th when that discussion will be happening. And thank you, Dan, for hosting an in-person town hall for CEA in May. What was the date of that again? May 10th. And if you can't make it in person to May 10th, which hopefully you can because CEA staff are great, and that's why I was so happy to invite them here today. I am also having a virtual discussion facilitated on April 22nd. That is Earth Day. So if you can't make it in person, tune in on Earth Day, April 22nd. That's a Monday at 6 p.m. And you'll have an opportunity to do some Q&A and do a brief program about CEA and continue to make sure we're building rapport with the community. I have full confidence in our city's direction, where we're going with CEA. I have every intention as vice chair of CEA to keep costs as low as possible for Vista customers because I'm a customer as well. And with that, I want to say thank you to city staff and to all my colleagues, and I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Okay. Again, happy birthday to Councilwoman Contreras. We want to extend our sincere congratulations to our recent Fire Academy graduates. It was a great honor to attend their graduation this past weekend. These 6 graduates will now enter a year-long probationary phase working as firefighter paramedics in the Vista Fire Department. So we want to congratulate Derek Beveridge, Jason Clark, Manuel Fernandez, Austin Newman, Jesse Spurtle, and Nicholas Tusa. I also want to congratulate the 2 recipients of our EMT scholarships, Elizabeth Arango and Lucille Good. It was really inspiring seeing these young ladies rewarded for their hard work. We're thankful to have them as part of our EMT team in the City of Vista Fire Department. With that, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.